Worshiping God and acknowledging that everything is of God. If we have fallen, we should not be too sorrowful. Rather, we should worship God. If we are able to stand, we should not be proud. Rather, we should worship God. We should realize that the fall that one person experiences today may be our experience tomorrow. And the stand that one person experiences today may be our experience tomorrow. We may be standing when another falls. However, it is quite possible that when he rises up, we may fall. God gives us a night when we ask Him for a day. He gives us a day when we are at ease with our night. God gives us situations that are contrary to our preferences in order to work Himself into us. God gives us situations that are contrary to our preferences in order to work Himself into us. God gives us situations that are contrary to our preferences in order to work Himself into us. Our thoughts are focused on a straight path, but His thoughts include ups and downs. Our expectations are based on the thought of a straight path, but God's principles, ways, and methods involve curves. We are in God's hand. We did not determine the date of our birth or the time of our salvation. Consequently, we should not assume that the path ahead of us is in our hands. There's no need to be overly discouraged or sorrowful, much less boastful or proud, because everything is in His hand. He will have mercy on whomever He will have mercy, and He will have compassion on whomever He will have compassion. Romans 9:15. He will visit whomever He will. He often comes to people in the dark of a night, and He often meets people when their sky is cloudy and overcast. We touch Him more when we are suffering, and we grow more when we are in distress. May the Lord have mercy on us so that we may increasingly worship Him, submit to Him, and trust in Him. May we not be proud but humble, bowing down to Him, worshiping Him, and praising Him. When we stand, may we acknowledge His grace, and when we fall, may we receive His dealing. May we see His considerations when our circumstances are smooth, and may we realize His special visitation when our circumstances are difficult. He wants to lead us to walk on a way that is more difficult but also deeper, a way that often is beyond our understanding. Nevertheless, we need not be fearful or anxious, and it is foolish to be boastful or proud. Those who have spiritual light will not be discouraged or proud, much less compare themselves with others, because they realize that everything is in God's hand. Everything is in God's hand. Oh, everything is in God's hand. God gives life and allows death. He both exalts people and brings people low. He causes people to ascend and to descend. He leads people to a bright day and also leads them to a dark night. He provides smooth circumstances in adverse situation. This is a law in the universe and in spiritual matters. Through these changing circumstances, we grow by being broken and delivered from the self. When we are reduced, He is enlarged. When we decrease, He increases. John 3:30. Regardless of how much we change, the intention behind His hand never changes. No matter how He deals with us, either by touching us, by seemingly not touching us, His hand upon us has a consistent purpose from beginning to end. That is, He wants to work in us to the extent that we will be filled with all that He is. That is, He wants to work in us to the extent, He wants to work in us to the extent that we will be filled with all that He is. No matter whether we have fallen or have stood in the past, we should worship God. We need to prostrate ourselves before Him, confess that we are untrustworthy, and acknowledge that His grace is upon us. We need to ask God to open our eyes so that we may know His ways, and so that our thoughts may be adjusted. This is from the chapter Not Being Discouraged When We Fall, page 45 to 47, chapter 5 of the book God's Need and God's Goal by Witness Lee. And here is the ISBN number.